So something interesting about Ben Shapiro, and this is something that I had explained in the videos in which I was talking about how Ben Shapiro passed on a debate with Kyle Kulinski. I explained essentially that as of right now, he's not actually scheduled for a single debate at Politicon. I explained, until that, as of that date that I put that out there. And he was just scheduled for Sunday. He was scheduled for a keynote speech on Sunday, as well as a actual like this panel thing he had with all of his Daily Wire lackeys. And so basically he didn't even end up doing a single debate. So it's not even like he was busy and he didn't have the time to be able to do an actual debate at Politicon. He just passed. I don't understand how that's possible, because this is the guy who is supposedly the debate god. He's supposedly all about debating. He wrote a book, I think, of all I know. It's really cringy. The cover is, at least. It's become a meme, but it's essentially like how to debate leftists and destroy them. And so, the facts don't care about your feelings thing, like the dude is a living, walking meme, right? But, the whole thing is that, he destroys libcucks, and he's essentially the snowflake libcucks destroyer. He goes to college campuses and does these Q&As. The Q&As, by the way, are set up to be these kinds of things where you essentially have it so that people come up and ask their question and you control the conversation, where he'll jump in to cut off your question, or he will like prevent you from responding and different things like that. So those are shady in the first place anyways, but those are college students. And so he did a debate with Cenk Uygur last year. And so it just seems to be really odd that he would decide to pass on a debate with Kyle Kulinski, of course, considering his massive following online, right? I mean, he just passed 600,000 subscribers. He's got, 100,000 plus Twitter followers. So it's just weird. How can you claim to be this sort of debate god or whatever, but yet not actually be down for a debate when push comes to shove? You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty ridiculous that he actually did this. Now, it's even worse, and I'm going to explain why. So I actually streamed his keynote speech. I think it's important to sort of know the crap that he says, and eventually I'll get into analyzing some of the stuff that he said because it was ridiculous. But what you guys are about to see is, you guys are going to see a clip of his speech where someone asks him about debates. And so the one thing I want to say really quick before I show the clip, it's just some person, and so she essentially asks, like, would you be down to debate me? I can understand not debating her, because like having like this, set up long form debate with a random person, because it doesn't really make any sense, because you can't do that with everyone. And also, as Ben explains, like, he's just wasting his time and money. So that makes sense. But the difference passing on a debate with someone who has an actual huge audience is obviously a totally different thing. But he's going to make the claim that, there aren't lefties to debate, and that the college kids on campuses have more courage. And, that is all said despite the fact that Kyle invited him for a debate at Politicon, and he turned it down. So you guys are going to see that clip of the keynote speech, and then on top of that, you're going to see Kyle Kulinski responding to that claim. Check it out.
I like the shirt.
Yeah, I thought you'd dig it. The first time I see a Sarah Press's overrated shirt will be a very great date. So a lot of people, especially here, feel like you're just a fantastic debater, destroyer of liberals and their arguments. And that's not something I've actually seen a lot in practice. I've seen you out-debate college students. Ooh. So I've seen you out-debate college students, but, they're college students. If you were debating 19-year-old you, I have no question that 19-year-old you would get absolutely destroyed. And I see you have kind of fireside chit-chats with, Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson. Oh.
It's fine, Go ahead.
And you're not really debating them in a substantial way either. They have differences of opinions, but I think you more focus on where you agree than where you disagree. So my question is, A, if this is correct, and there are some exceptions like the Politicon debate last year, Why do you think this is? Are liberals afraid to debate you? Are you afraid to debate them? Are there a lot of examples of really great head-to-head debates that I'm just missing?
Sure, yeah. I mean, if you go back there, I did a series of debates in Seattle with a group of folks, the local head of the NAACP, the writer for the Seattle Stranger on race. We did a debate with some gun experts on gun rights. I mean, I've literally spent my entire life, my political life, having conversations with folks on the left. In fact, those are the conversations that I enjoy the most. As far as why there are all these tapes of me destroying liberals at college campuses, it's because college students apparently have more courage than a lot of professional political pundits who don't actually want to get on a stage. I've invited an inordinate number of folks on the left onto the Sunday special, specifically because I actually prefer, as opposed to the debate format, the discussion format, because it allows you to get a little bit deeper. Right? Debate formats themselves are built for how do you destroy the other side, how do you undermine a point, right? And that's fun. I don't think it's necessarily the most productive conversation. And as you see, like when somebody gets up and they ask about nationalized healthcare, I'm happy to have a conversation back and forth in a substantive way about healthcare, looking at the different priorities and how they reflect. And in fact, if you actually go back and you watch all the speeches that I've made on college campuses, I would say that there are many more exchanges of me talking with somebody on the left in a respectful manner than there are tapes of me, quote unquote, destroying anybody. You know, those are the ones that people like to watch because they're more fun, but that doesn't mean that's what's actually happening on a daily basis. Yeah, that's fine, that's fine. Go ahead.
Sorry, just for one quick follow-up, I do agree with you on the point that a lot of liberal pundits are, for whatever reason, afraid to debate you. So my follow-up question was going to be, under what circumstances would you, although I'm not a famous liberal pundit, ever be open to having a substantial, long-form, civil conversation with me?
I mean, I'm more than happy to have one if we can both carve out the time and I'm not losing money in doing it. Right? I mean, this is the reality, is that I only have so much time in my life, and I've spent a lot of it talking with people. I mean, this is what my law school and college experience was about, talking with folks on the left. I have friends on the left who I speak with on a regular basis. You know, I don't want to name names for fear of ruining their careers, but those conversations largely do happen behind closed doors. But people have a fear of getting out in front of a camera, specifically because we do live in an environment where the rock'em sock'em robot stuff tends to get more attention than the substantive discussion stuff.
Check him out. I had a good time. I know you guys wanted to see me rip off Cowardly Coulter's head, but of course she backed out of the debate. Somebody just tweeted me a clip of Ben Shapiro in his keynote speech said the left is afraid to debate. I floated a debate with you before Politicon. Right after Ann Coulter backed out, I submitted a list to Politicon and said, here's the people that I'm willing to debate. I tried to get people of similar stature in terms of how well they're known to Ann Coulter, because I didn't want you guys to feel like, you know, there's any downgrade or anything. And they all said no. They all passed. So it's really weird that Ben Shapiro is saying, oh my God, the left won't debate, yada, yada. I just floated a debate with you. I just did it. So anyway, that's enough on Politicon. TYT was fun.
So I'm trying really hard. I'm really giving my best effort not to allow this to be something that disappears or goes under the rug, because it's really important. And if the roles were flipped, we would never hear the end of it. And so I'm trying my hardest not to let this get swept under the rug, not to just have everyone move on, because I think it's important, because there is a sort of a shift going on. Whether or not you want to call it a culture shift, I don't know how you couldn't call it that or how you wouldn't call it that, but let's just say it's not a culture shift. Let's just say a shift, just to be mild, right? Because you're talking about the whole idea, at least online speaking, was that, you know, these liberals, these lefties are not down to debate. They're too scared to debate their ideas. They just stay in their echo chamber. I vividly remember this idea that was, you know, the pertinent idea, that was the most prevalent idea. Now, what ended up essentially happening was Politicon comes around, and it looks like Kyle Kulinski can't get a debate for the life of him. Sam Cedar was able to debate Charlie Kirk, but as Sam Cedar explained in the video he just made, he divulged the information that he was originally supposed to have a debate with Stephen Clam Chowder. And the words that he used from Politicon was that he got cold feet. So basically, I guess that means he got nervous. And it was so bad that they gave him a phone call instead of an email, because they didn't want that email being released. They didn't want anything being in writing. That's when you know it's really bad. Really, really bad. So And Steven Crowder's actually even more significant, I think, because he was the guy trying to debate Kyle Kulinski, and then Kyle declined from that. And so the whole thing going around, and Steven Crowder, repeated this on his show that, the lefties are too afraid to debate. And then he, backs out like a little bitch from Sam Cedars' debate. So that's sort of how that goes, right? But there's a shift going on, okay? Ann Coulter backs out. Float the idea of debating Tomi Lahren, debating Candace Owens, debating Ben Shapiro. All three of them pass. Candace Owens doesn't even show up to Politicon, just totally doesn't even go. Tomi Lahren, no debates. All she did was a book signing, to my knowledge. Ben Shapiro, no debates. Just Q&A with Daily Wire lackeys and keynote speech and Q&A. Well, so much for that. He was there one out of 2 days. He wasn't busy at all. The dude did two things. 2. 1 + 1 = 2. Okay? This is some first grade level math. Kyle did, I think, 4 or 5 things. And this dude did 2. So spare me with he didn't even debate anybody. How embarrassing is that? And you have the nerve, you have the gall to be doing your dumbass keynote speech where you make up all this hot garbage, and you have the nerve to go off and say, well, it's really crazy because the college lefties are the ones with the most courage to actually debate. No one else will take the stage. Is that so? Because we have confirmed information that Kyle floated a debate with you and you passed. A dude not only with 600K subscribers, but remember that clip where the dude asked him about the whole Palestine comment that he made? And he asked him if he knew about Kyle Kulinski from Secular Talk. Like, there's no way this guy doesn't know who he is at this point, okay? It's impossible. Impossible. Completely impossible. So, the gall that is going on that this guy has to decline a debate with an established lefty in the media, to decline it and then go on some spiel about how, lefties don't want to debate. They don't want to take the stage. And so I end up mostly debating college kids, not because I take advantage of their stupidity, but because, they're the only people that will debate me. Spare me. Don't ever try that shit again. And so I'm not going to allow this to be swept under the rug. I'm not going to allow this to be downplayed. I'm not going to allow this to just go, people just forget. Steven Crowder, completely ghosting. He ghosted Politicon. His dad told him not to do it. He ghosted. The man ghosted. He didn't even attend. That's how bad it was. He was so ashamed and so scared, so worried, so terrified that he didn't even show up to goddamn Politicon. Didn't even show up. Didn't even come. How embarrassing is that? He totally ghosted. Sam Cedar has an open invite to him at his own expense. He'll go anywhere. He'd probably go in an alleyway at 3 a.m. to debate this guy on the Change My Mind segment. That's how open of an invite that is. It's like, I will come on your show, you can come on my show. I'll meet you in an alleyway at 3 a.m. in the morning where you can have your, table of Change My Mind and, have your tissues for what. Anyways, point being, come on, dude. Steven Crowder doesn't even show up. Tomi Lahren, who we 100% knows who Kyle Kulinski is, because they got into an argument on Twitter. Very heated, by the way. Always have to throw that in there. But she backed out. All she does is a book signing. Ann Coulter backs out for elitist reasons. Candace Owens just completely ghosts. Doesn't even show up. This is where I have to give Charlie Kirk his credit. Because at least Charlie Kirk didn't just, not go, back out. He didn't chicken out. He still went. He actually went. Unlike the other, wussies, basically, is what they are. So, spare me with this BS. Spare me with your dumb speeches. Spare me with your dumb spiels. Spare me with your grandstanding. Biggest thing I hate, mostly about Ben Shapiro, but this is with all public speakers, is the grandstanding. That pisses me off so much because essentially you're just compromising the conversation in order to have like a clapping competition, which is the lamest crap ever. Okay, it's the lamest thing on planet Earth. Ben Shapiro does that all the time. That, in fact, that's his main tactic, is grandstanding. And it's so unbearable. It's unbearable to watch. I can't handle it because any statement he's making is not a legitimate, good intentioned counter argument of some sort. No, that's not what it is. It's to get claps. It's to get the crowd on his side. And that's what he was doing there. So it is unbelievably ridiculous for these people to be claiming this. And I'm glad Kyle called him out. I hope that he takes more jabs at these guys. I would hope he would do like a full-on, just straight up video clip of just straight up hammering these dudes, like all of them in a specific jab, like slam punch. But I don't know if that's going to end up happening. But we cannot allow this to be swept under the rug. This is definitely a culture change that we're seeing going on online.